Would like to welcome everyone. This is the Media Center, Ukraine, Odesa. Today, our first briefing will be about the security and safety situation in Odesa Oblast. Today, we have with us Serhii Bratchuk, the spokesperson of the head of the Odesa Oblast Military Administration. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the armed forces of Ukraine. I would like to say that today is the anniversary of the liberation of Ukraine from the Nazis occupiers, and I would like to congratulate everyone on this historical event. We were the winners back then and will win over Russia now. As for the security and operative situation in our region, I would like to start from October 22, precisely of the morning of this date, when the enemy carried out a massive strike from the Black Sea with high precision caliber missiles against the critical infrastructure of Ukraine. Our southern regions was no exception, and one of such objects in the Odessa region related to the power infrastructure was damaged. Unfortunately, 3 people were injured, but the air defense forces managed to destroy 4 cruise missiles over Odessa. We had one more shelling, precisely that was the kamikaze drone attack on October 26, when more than 2 dozen of Shahed drones were flying over the territory of our state. And the most of these kamikaze drones were destroyed by our air defense forces, precisely 15 of drones. And of course, there is now quite an important question about the territory, the temporarily occupied territory of the Republic of Moldova, the so-called Transnistria. Known signs of the formation of offensive groups were found, and all our troops, starting from the 24th of February this year, have been performing certain military combat tasks in that region and to monitor the situation. The missiles shelling on October 22 were aimed to destroy the energy infrastructure of Ukraine. That's why now I would like to cover one more component, namely energy, into the life of our region. On October 25th, 26th, and partially on the 27th of October, schedules of stabilization of power outages were applied throughout the region. They were necessary to maintain the entire energy system of our region and of the country in general, which suffered significant damage as a result of enemy aggression. The day before, that is yesterday, there was a joint meeting of representatives of the relevant public and other structures, and a decision was made to urgently adjust the schedules of consumers' disconnections from power supply and the optimization of such power cuts. It was emphasized that the improved schedule of such temporary, and I would like to emphasize temporary, shutdowns should reflect the needs of the wartime defense, stable operation of critical infrastructure facilities, and should be understandable for all residents of our region. The update schedule will be made public, and I'm sure in this, at the beginning of the next week through the official channels of Odessa Electric Power Company. The next topic, education, which is of course of significant importance in our region. The issue of organizing the educational activities take into consideration these power cuts and of course with due account of the safety and security component. More than 400 institutions of general secondary education have protective structures for sheltering participants and students and protective structures located next to them. More than 150 preschool education institutions of the region organized educational activities using existing protective structures. This is as for the number of shelters that they have. You know that now we have holidays, and I can provide the information with regard to this issue. And 52% of our educational institutions use the right to have such holidays from 24th October to the 30th of October. Around 30% will go on holiday starting from the 31st of October to 6th of November. In 15% of general secondary education institutions, holidays have been postponed to the winter period of 2023. So they will have prolonged winter holidays. And some of the institutions, around 4%, decided to organize holidays from the 17th of October to the 23rd of October 2022. There are both formats, offline and online, and individual classes in line with the security situation in the country in general and in Odesa Oblast in particular. One more component I would like to cover today. This is agricultural sector. You know that Odesa Oblast is leader in this area at the moment because a lot of territories, agrarian territories, suffer from war or are temporarily occupied territories. Odesa, namely the southern part of our oblast, started the sowing campaign back in August. And this is a campaign of harvesting winter crops for 2023. And so that's why we're leader in this area today. And also, for the amount of harvest, it is around 2.5 million tons, both of grain and leguminous crops. As of October 25th, 2022, in Odesa Oblast, they have sowed the winter rape, which is 167% more than the forecast, and winter wheat, which is of bigger interest for everyone, almost 80% of the forecast for this year. And that's why I would like to emphasize that we inform about these numbers with due consideration of the military law in Ukraine and the full invasion of Russia, of the Russian terrorists of the territory of Ukraine. And the information about crops is provided by the Ministry of Infrastructure. And we have already exported 9 million tons of Ukrainian agricultural products of the countries of Africa, and there is around 397 vessels that have already left the ports of Odesa Oblast, including Odesa City and Yuzhny. As far as I understand, from the next week, the citizens of Odesa will be able to learn about scheduled power cuts in the city and the duration of this cut of power cut period. Yes, and using this opportunity, I would like to thank the experts from the energy complex, because of course you, the journalists, know about the conditions our energy enterprises have to work today and what efforts they have been taking to stabilize the difficult situation at the energy front line. It's not even the market, but the front line, and I would like to thank them. And of course, there were some complaints because not all the schedules have been duly published. But all of us are in the same conditions, and actually, I have faced the same personally. That's why we hope that the schedule of power cuts will be stabilized for the next week, in line with the current conditions. And I would like to ask everyone to save energy to the maximum extent possible, because we need to remember about the conditions our soldiers have to fight for and about the situations on the occupied territories. And we can only be thankful to the armed forces of Ukraine that were not occupied. Are there any questions from the audience? Oleksiy Osaulenko, Media Center, Odesa. You've briefly mentioned the border with the Transnistrian region. And do you know about the situation in the direction of Luhansk and Donetsk Oblasts? So do the Russian troops move there or not? What's happening there? This actually question to the military command staff, and we should also get the information from the general staff of the armed forces of Ukraine. And I can also use the information provided by them in terms of Bakhmut and Avdiivka, because these are the hotspots on the front line. The situation, the general situation on the front line is very dynamic. It can change even every hour, but there are no significant movements on other sectors of the front line. And of course, we are focused on the southern regions. And you know that, for example, the enemy have been bringing a lot of so-called mobilized soldiers to Kherson who have not been properly prepared and who have no proper equipment for this, for the fight. The question will be in Russian, sort of, for this Michael Vasuria, Newsweek magazine. And my question with regard to energy, what Ukraine is doing now to rebuild the system, the transformators, power stations, and does Ukraine needs any support or aid in this area from the Western countries in the form of machinery, devices, equipment, or just advice of the experts? First of all, I would like to thank the armed forces of Ukraine for the opportunity that we have today to discuss these topics. The armed forces of Ukraine guarantee the stable work of our energy power supply network. And I would like to thank and our friends from all over the world that support us and that will increase their support, including in the area of power supply. I can speak only about the information we can get from the open sources, and this topic has been under consideration, and I know that actually several partner countries will provide support to our state in this area, and this will be the management of our state that will decide how to disseminate this support. And of course, we need the support and help. Thank you. What channel Serhii should turn on just to be able to hear the question? Я зараз знаходжусь на третьому каналі. Так, ви можете поставити вже ваше запитання. Сергій почує переклад навушники. Сергій, ви мене чуєте, так? Андрієвська з Німеччини. Я журналіст з газети Die Zeit. І наскільки я правильно зрозуміла, ви сказали, що зараз в Придністров'ї знаходяться військові сили. Я правильно зрозуміла? Yes, you are absolutely right. Unfortunately, Russian occupiers have been there for quite a long time. This is not the first year they're there. This is the 14th Army of the Soviet Union. І ви відчуваєте, що вони зараз готуються до якихось атак чи військових дій? We do not see any preparation on their side at the moment. І наскільки ви оцінюєте загальну безпекову ситуацію в Одесі і в регіоні навколо Одеси? According to the situation that we have now in our state in general and around our state, the situation of the highest level of stability, and it is controlled, fully controlled. Дякую. If there are no other questions, then we can stop here. And I would like to remind you that the next briefing we are going to have today at 12 at noon. We will discuss the exhibition of children drawings with the support of the UN programs. And these are the artworks of children who have arrived to us under the from the temporarily occupied territories or from the territories that have been heavily shelled by the Russian forces. I think that would be interesting for our journalists, so stay with us. And at 2 p.m., uh, we are going to have an interesting discussion how the Odesa theaters reconsider their work under the Ukraine-Russia war. So keep in touch, and just in half an hour.